I really fucking hate spiders. Hello guys, this is Scott from Nostalgic Nightmares and welcome to my review of Shivers number 13, The Spider Kingdom. I did promise Monster Blood for breakfast next, but due to problems with my recording, I wanted to record something different rather than to re-record something I've already just done. I am now back from holiday from Greece, which was amazing, so hopefully these reviews and some other ideas that I've got for video should start again pretty much any time from now, whenever this one gets uploaded. As I speak, the actual original Goosebumps collection is on its way to me, so hopefully I can start doing some reviews of that as well. But I'll jump straight into this one. Like I say, it is The Spider Kingdom, number 13 in the Shiver series. It is 123 pages long and 19 chapters. And the main character this time is a guy called Freddy and his best friend, called Lumpy. He's called Lumpy because he's fat, which I don't think you can get away with nowadays in books maybe, but... So we've got Freddy and Lumpy, and they're basically two bullies. Lumpy is like the head bully. He's really nasty to people, he's really violent towards people, and Freddy kind of follows along. He doesn't really always get involved, but he does laugh along with it, he does enjoy it, but isn't necessarily always acting on like Lumpy's advice. But Freddy follows along and he loves what Lumpy does and laughs whenever he hurts people and all the nasty stuff he does. So they're not very nice people and they're not really very nice to each other either. And at the start of the book they're suspended from school because they set off like firecrackers, I think in the toilet if I remember correctly, which is like a typical high school prank to do. I think in like America, in England you don't really get firecrackers, so no idea. So yeah, they're suspended from school and they spend a lot of time after the parents go to work hanging out, and they go to like construction site and like mess around on there, and they steal loads of stuff from there and they build a tree house in the woods. And they're known for, well, to each other for killing spiders. They really hate spiders. Lumpy likes to trap Daddy Longlegs and pull all their legs off, whereas Freddy just has like a really bad fear of them, so he kills them out of fear. Every time he sees one he has to kill it, just because he's so scared, which... Let me just say, I get that. I have the worst arachnophobia of anyone that I know. I literally, if I see a spider, I almost burst into tears, even if they're tiny. I don't know what it is, and I know it's stupid, but I really can't stand them. Like, especially the bigger they are, the more scared I get. They literally like they paralyze me. I can't move, or if I might be able to move away from them, but I always remember when I was younger. I used to get quite a lot of spiders in my bedroom because of where we lived. And they used to just disappear because I could never actually get rid of them. And everyone was asleep because it would always be in the middle of the night. Yeah, and I used to just not be able to sleep because they would just disappear and never reappear again. So I get it. I get the fear of spiders. So Freddy kills quite a lot of spiders and Lumpy likes to pull off the legs as well, which they don't really play on a lot at the start of the book. It kind of comes into play later on. And there's also this kid called Tommy Malloy, who's very much like a computer geek. He's the geek of the school, but he's also the target of Freddy and Lumpy. Particularly Lumpy likes to kind of beat on him, and there's a bit where they're in the treehouse, like hanging about, and Tommy Malloy walks past in the woods, or maybe he's trying to get home or something, and they kind of corner him and punch him in the stomach. Well, Lumpy does, Freddy just kind of laughs. And they're really quite mean to him, and it doesn't really come into play much until the end of the book. But it's just to kind of emphasise the fact that these are not nice kids. And there's a really funny bit which plays on the fact that Lumpy is fat. At the start of the book, they're in the treehouse and it collapses because he's so fat. they're sat in it and they hear the boards creaking and then it kind of collapses and they fall through the trees and Lumpy has to kind of like slide off this branch. I've not read a kid's book for years that really plays on the fact that someone is fat. I think these days, being so politically correct, you can't really comment on the fact that people are fat, or you can't really play on it, which I get. That makes sense. I have friends who are bigger. I get it. But it's really weird to read about this kid is fat. People call him fat. He knows he's fat. Things collapse because he's fat, and they just kind of really play on it. But anyway, after the treehouse collapses, they kind of shout at each other, being scared and all this kind of stuff. And then they part ways and go home. And Freddy goes home to see a note from his parents that they left, which he didn't see in the morning, basically saying that they want him to clean out, they're called the rafters, and like the porch, I assume that's like the top where the roof is. It's kind of similar, what I thought it was like the gutters in England. We get a lot of gutters. I assume you get them in America as well, so I'm probably talking bollocks, but he has to clean out the rafters. So he goes out and has a look to see what's wrong with them. Has basically tons of spiders hanging around from the rafters. And rather than just clean them out with a hose pipe like he's asked to do, he goes and gets some insecticide because he's so scared, and he basically sprays these 30-40 spiders and watches them all shrivel up and die. Which, I don't know if that's any worse, because then they're all just going to be lying there dead, but I guess it gets rid of them. So he kills them all, and he's really happy that he kills them all, and goes, turns the TV on, lies on the couch, and has like an ice cream bar or something, and goes to sleep. And he wakes up to this really weird chomping sound. It's like a and this is where the book quickly gets batshit crazy in a really weird way. He wakes up, and there's a giant 5-foot tarantula stood next to his couch that is eating ice cream bars. It kind of took a major U-turn from the start of the book to this point, and this is only like a few chapters in, maybe 3 chapters in, something like that. So there's a 5-foot tarantula eating ice cream bars, and it kind of talks to him, and it threatens to eat him, and he tries to escape, but it kind of like scuttles in the way and blocks his exit, which is really fucking terrifying. Other than the fact that it can talk, and it has like features that aren't really spiders, like a tongue and teeth and stuff. It's really weird. I didn't read too much into the description because spiders scare me, so I kind of wanted to speed through it. So it threatens to kill him, but it doesn't, because that's not what it's there for. And it basically like ties him up in the silk, which basically shits out of his arse, which is what spiders do. It was not really shitting, but that's where it comes from. So yeah, it kind of excretes this silk ribbon stuff, and it ties him up and drags him towards the front of the house where he killed all the spiders, and he's like, look at the scene of the slaughter. You never think of all your consequences of your actions. You're always doing harm to others, and you're not thinking about what you're doing, so you're in trouble. And he's really scared. He's like, I don't really know what's going on. There's a giant spider. Yeah, so this spider kind of threatens him. And basically says, because you're in so much trouble and you harm living beings, I'm going to take you to the spider kingdom. And it begins to drag him through town, and no one can see him for some reason. It's like dragging him down the street, and it drags him through the forest. And he passes the treehouse and hopes he can see Lumpy, because then Lumpy can probably save him, because he's so big and fat. He can probably wrestle the spider, maybe. But Lumpy's not at the treehouse, which was kind of the remains of the treehouse, which they have like some of their belongings still left in, like a rope and a flashlight and typical like boy stuff that they take on adventures. And it drags him through the woods, and it drags him to this massive hole in the ground. And he basically looks down, it's really dark. And the spider basically pushes him in and kind of lowers him down on the silk until he gets to the very bottom of this humongous cavern system. And it's literally gigantic, and there's all these tunnels that basically stretch throughout the town. And throughout these tunnels, there's literally thousands of spiders. I mean, they're all like 5 foot, 4 foot, 6 foot, whatever. They're all these giant tarantulas and different types of spiders. There's wolf spiders, there's kind of what I mean, like tree spiders, there's black widows, there's just normal tarantulas, there's house spiders. There's thousands of these spiders just crawling around, but they're all like crawling around, like taunting him, like, oh, you're like the spider killer, and all this kind of stuff. And it kind of, if you think of like a prison drama where the newbie kind of goes into the prison, it's very much like that. So when you see like these things on, maybe not so much like Prison Break, but like where like a little character goes into prison and they're walking through, and there's all these like rough, tattooed, pierced guys like banging on cells, like shouting at them. It was very much similar to that. He was being led through the prison, through the tunnels by this tarantula on the string, and he's got all these spiders walking past, like taunting him and shouting at him. And he mentions that all these tunnels are like they're covered in moss. It's really dark, but they're all lit up by these candles, and he looks really close at these candles, and this was like a really nice effect. All these candles are basically daddy long legs that have been pulled off, and they're wrapped in the silk of the spider and set on fire. So I thought that was like a nice little touch, really, because it, in most books you would have just said, oh, they're candles, and you would kind of not really questioned it. But yeah, the fact that these candles are all like daddy long legs wrapped in silk was like a really nice touch. And the spider even mentions that all these candles are made from the legs that they're ripped off by Lumpy. So it's kind of all tying together about how these two kids were really really nasty to spiders and other people. And Freddy even tries to go, like, look, I didn't do anything, like, I might have killed some spiders, but on the most part I haven't done anything, I'm not a bad person. And he basically said, well, you stood there laughing. You might not have actually done it, but you took part in it. You stood there laughing, you let it happen. And Freddy keeps getting dragged deeper and deeper into the underground tunnels, deeper into the caverns by this tarantula. Doesn't really know where he's going. And they turn a corner and enter this room, which has like a gigantic spiderweb in it. And he notices that at the bottom of the spiderweb is Lumpy. He's been stuck to the spiderweb. And Lumpy's there screaming for help. He doesn't really know what's going on. And he's screaming and screaming. And Freddy's like, how the hell did you get here? And Lumpy basically explains that he was sat at home. And in the most terrifying sight, this would literally, I would rather die than this happened to me. He was sat at home and this giant tarantula crashed through the window. I mean, how scary is that? Like, you literally sat casually watching TV or having your dinner, and a 5-foot tarantula just bursts through the window and kind of captures you and drags you away. I mean, that is like the stuff of nightmares. This book terrified me as a kid. I didn't remember anything about it. It was literally just the cover, but I'll get to that later on. But literally just the sight of that cover used to terrify me when I was a child because I hate spiders. So the thought of like a 5-foot tarantula just bursting through your windows is like literally the stuff of nightmares. It's kind of like if you've ever seen the film, what's it called? 8-Legged Freaks. That kind of spider. Yeah. But anyway, Freddy and Lumpy both get stuck to the web. And there's a lot of talking down here. I mean, most of like, at least half of the book is talking. It's okay when you read it, but I'm going to have to really kind of dumb it down into a nutshell because it's really hard to explain what happens. Because they do a lot of talking. Basically, when they're tied to the webs, they keep trying to say, we're really innocent, we haven't done anything, we're not bad people. We're so innocent. We're just kids, we're only having fun. And the spiders kind of joke that they're going to eat them and taunt them. And just saying that they're out there murderers, and the spiders walk past saying that they're killer kids. And all this stuff. And the spider basically carries on joking about how they're going to get eaten. And Lumpy, being a dick that he is, basically says, if you're going to eat anyone, you don't want me. I'm not the one that's scared of spiders. Freddy's the one that's scared of spiders. Eat him. So he basically very quickly turns on his friend. The only friend that he's got in this scenario. And that's kind of proof about what kind of person Lumpy is. He might be insecure, and that's why he bullies people, which Freddy kind of points out. And Freddy even says, look, if you spent less time upsetting people and more time on your schoolwork and stuff, you might be intelligent, because Freddy's actually quite intelligent. He might be a bit of a bully as well, but he's very smart. He knows what he's academically really bright. So he even says, look, if you spent less time bullying and more time on your schoolwork, you might not be as thick as you are. But, you know. So Lumpy's actually he's just not a nice person. He has got issues, yes. But he very quickly throws his friend under the bus when they're in a tough situation, which kind of proves that he's just not a nice person. And they begin to argue amongst each other because obviously he's trying to turn Freddy in. Freddy's like, what the fuck? Like, why are you trying to... We're meant to be mates. So they begin to argue, which really pisses off the spider that's with them. And he says, look, I'm not here to eat you. I'm kind of threatening you, but I'm not actually going to do it. I've been sent to imprison the killer kids. And then he leaves. He leaves Freddy and Lumpy alone in this underground cavern. And Lumpy starts crying and wants to get out. And Freddy kind of tries to console him a little bit, but not like overly, because at the end of the day, he did just try and throw him under the bus. But Freddy's like a nicer person deep down, so he's really trying to make the best of a bad situation. But it'd be quite a good thing to see on a TV program or a film, because they are stuck to this web, but they can't look at each other. They're literally like frozen in space. They can move their eyes, and that's it. So they're all trying to console each other and move and look at each other and talk to each other, but they can't actually see each other. They just know that they're nearby. And as they're constantly crying and consoling each other, more spiders walk past saying like, oh, have you forgotten your bug spray? And oh, come on boys, try and stomp on us now, eh? And all this stuff. So they're really in a bad situation. They're up shit creek without a paddle, to put it nicely. And they've been waiting there a while when two giant brown hairy spiders come in. And they're basically like soldier spiders. They've got like gold braids around their like ankles or whatever. Not ankles, but what would be their ankles, made of like leaf stems. And they basically look like soldiers. And they inform the prisoners that they basically say The prisoners are hereby informed that they will be taken into custody of the Imperial Guard, and we must both escort you to the court of the Spider King. If you try and leave or try and run, you will be killed. So they basically find out that's why they're there. They're here to be put on trial in front of the Spider King and the Spider Kingdom. And the brown spiders basically get them off the web and begin escorting them throughout the tunnel. And again, like I mentioned with the Animal Kingdom book that I read, oh, I've just realised, Animal Kingdom, Spider Kingdom. No, Animal Rebellion. My bad, it's the Animal Rebellion, not the Animal Kingdom. Like I mentioned in the Animal Rebellion, and now this one, I really like strong, scary images. Like I mentioned about all the animals in the Animal Kingdom, like surrounding the barns and stuff. In this one, there's a really nice image. There's a description about how, as they're walking down the tunnels, being escorted by the Imperial Guard, the light from the candles kind of throws a shadow on the wall and of what's going on, and so that he looks around and he can just see this big shadow of these giant tarantulas pulling along these two kids. And I think that's quite a spooky image. That would have been a really good cover for the book. It's quite scary, really. Just this big black shadow with these giant tarantulas pulling along these really small kids behind them. And they approach these two double doors, which are basically made out of tree bark. And behind the doors, they can hear this chanting this voice is chanting and chanting. We want the killer kids. Murder the killer kids. We want the killer kids. Murder the killer kids. And you can hear this chanting and chanting and chanting. And it's a really good description, really, of what they can hear. They enter the cave. Pardon me. They enter the cave where the thousands of spiders are all sat around, like in not a tribunal, but like a stage kind of thing. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of spiders are crowded around, waiting and watching and chanting for their death, for their execution. And they get put on this stand in front of the podium where the Spider King arrives. And it's a really a funny description, because he's the biggest tarantula they've ever seen. And it's a huge tarantula with like a robe of silk and a crown made out of twigs. But it has a mustache. It has a mustache. I was reading this, and although I don't like spiders, so I was kind of freaking out, I did laugh because it's just a spider with a mustache. Sounds really funny. Basically, what happens now, I'm going to have to nutshell really quickly because it's a lot of talking. They're told to bow down, and he says, do you know why you're here? And they're like, we don't really get what we're doing here. And Numpy basically says, oh, we're here because Freddy hates spiders, so kill him. Let me go. Dick move, right? Basically, a little spider comes out, like a small yellow spider, unfolds this leaf which has all the charges on. So it is like basically a court trial now. It basically reads out about how there's a chemical massacre of 53 spiders, 121 different spiders have been murdered, 95 Danny Longlegs have been killed by having their legs pulled off. It talks about the bullying of other creatures, not just spiders, so the bullying of Tommy Malloy, and also the harassment of other children, other living beings, and other animals, and how basically they're bullies, and it reads off everything they've done in their life, which is really bad. And they're like, but we're not guilty, we're just kids, we're just having fun. And that's the problem with bullies, in general, on the most part, until a certain age. They just do it because it's fun for them. And I got bullied in school, so I know what it's like. The bullies just think it's fun for them. They're not actually hurting anybody. They're upsetting people, yeah, but it's fun. And that's the point that this book is trying to make. That bullying is wrong, and you might be trying to have a bit of fun, and hurting other people is fun for you. But they never actually think of the consequences of their actions, and I really appreciated that. Like, they really don't get what they're doing is wrong. Like, I've seen so many films and programs where people are led to do stupid stuff like suicide because they're bullied, and the bullies never realise what they're doing until it's too late. So that's what this book is trying to say. But I'll get into that later on when I get to the review, because this book has a really strong message. Anyway, the spiders read out a big long list of all of their charges and how they're not guilty, but they also say, like, a Black Widow lawyer comes out and basically says that, like, for the prosecution, so against the boys, and basically says that they willfully ignore the fact that spiders do good in the world. Spiders actually help, like, keep other insects and other bugs out of houses and stuff, which is true. Spiders do good for you, but it says that they willfully ignored that, which I don't think is true. I think they're just scared of spiders and so they kill them. So I know that spiders do good, but I would rather see them die. I mean, it's harsh to say. But, what happened? What happened? Yeah, the lawyer basically nails them into a corner and basically says that you killed lots of spiders, you don't care what good that we do, you are bullies, you're nasty people, and the Spider King sentenced them to death. Because there's nothing the boys can say to make them kind of, what's the phrase that they used? Where was it? There's yeah, the Spider King says the cruelty has surpassed capacity for compassion. The cruelty has surpassed capacity for compassion. It's like a tongue twister. Yeah, so they've done too much harm for them to even try and talk their way out of it, and so they're sentenced to death. And the way they are going to be executed, two what are called wolf spiders come in, and these sound like fucking terrifying beings. I'm not even going to try and put a picture of them up because I don't want to Google pictures of these things. I can picture them in my head. That is bad enough. They're basically these giant, hairy spiders with 6 normal sized legs and then 2 humongous front legs that stretch out to the front. And I've seen pictures like this on like documentaries and stuff. I know what they look like. And these giant wolf spiders are basically going to eat them alive. These little tiny spiders come in and make like a gallows area, like they spin it out with silk. And the boys are meant to climb onto this gallows, and these 2 wolf spiders are going to eat them alive. Oh, I mean, even now gives me shivers. It's really creepy. So I give the author a lot of props for that because I don't like spiders. A lot of the imagery just really sent shivers down my spine. But yeah, Freddy and obviously Lumpy don't want to die. So Freddy tries to come up with a plan really quickly. Lumpy just sits there crying like a little bitch. Whereas Freddy's like, right, we've got to get out of here. Let's think of something. What can we do? And he thinks back to lessons in school, where basically he was told, like, the spiders are more afraid of you than you are of it. Which I was told hundreds of thousands of times by my parents. The spiders are more afraid of you than you are of it. Well, that's bollocks, because why do spiders crawl towards you then? Why do spiders, like, hang from the ceiling and hang towards you and, like drop down and they land on you? Spiders are not more scared of us. That's bollocks. I don't believe that for 1 second. Spiders, I don't believe necessarily have fear for us. Maybe they do when we're like trying to kill them and coming towards them, but I think on the most part spiders aren't genuinely scared of us. But I've never actually believed the whole they're more scared of us than they are of it. It might be true. I've never read into them because I don't want to know, because it's spiders. No. Ugh. But he remembers this fact that spiders are more scared of us, but he kind of thinks, well, the judge and the king and the guards and the executioners probably aren't more scared of him, so there's nothing they can do there because they're quite confident because wolf spiders in particular, because they're going to eat them. But he thinks maybe the crowd are scared of us because they're the ones shouting that we're killers and they know that we can kill them and we can stamp on them or we can spray them with bug spray, whatever. So he kind of gets this idea that maybe if he can scare the crowd. So in a split second he grabs Lumpy and goes like, Lumpy, run! And they dive into the crowd, and the crowd literally shit themselves. And the spiders literally running all over the place, like screaming, the killer kids are on the loose, the killer kids are on the loose. And they're running this way and that way, and up the walls and up the ceiling, and running into each other. And basically, Freddy and Lumpy get lost in the crowd, but they can see like the guards trying to kind of scuttle through to try and get towards them. But you can see that they're really well hidden, really, because the spiders are just running everywhere. Like if you see like a mass of spiders, you know that they're just running in any sort of direction. They're all over the place. And they spot the exit and they're diving towards the exit, trying to push through these spiders, which in itself sounds really scary, like having to touch these spiders. But they get towards the exit, and because the spiders had the same idea, the exit's blocked, like they're all like wedged into the exit. And Freddy's like, get down, get down, get down, get down. And they're like crawling under the legs of these spiders because the spiders' bodies are off the ground. I know I'm talking really fast, but I'm trying to like emphasize the tension. The spiders' bodies are obviously off the ground because they kind of sit on their legs rather than their body. They have space for the spiders to kind of crawl through and shimmy along under the ground. So they're shimmying along under these spiders and crawling through the legs. And they get out of the exit and they're running and they're running and they're running. And Lumpy's like, I've hurt my ankle, I can't go on. So he looks around, he's like, look, you've not broken your ankle, you've just sprained it. But Lumpy's just like, I can't go anywhere. We're underground, we're lost, we're being sentenced to death, I can't walk, there is spiders out in the tunnels looking for us, I just don't know what I can do. So Freddy, being the intelligent guy that he is, notices all like the mossy walls and stuff, and he begins to like dig through this wall and creates like a hole in the wall, but he doesn't have time to like dig like a massive hole for two. So he basically says like, Lumpy, like, get in the hole, I will hide you here, I'll go find an exit because we don't know how the fuck we're going to get out, because the entrance that we came in, or the entrance that I came in when I was dragged here by the tarantula, I was like lowered down like a long way, so we can't get out that way. So I'm going to leave you here, I will come back for you, but I'm going to go and find an exit. And Lumpy's like, well, how do you know where you're going to go? And there's like, they have like a stick of gum or something in the pocket, so he like tears up the packet and like starts leaving like a trail of like packet, like Hansel and Gretel leaving a trail of breadcrumbs kind of thing. So Freddy leaves Lumpy in a hole and goes like running through the tunnels, dodging a few spiders, because like now and again he sees like spiders coming down the end of a tunnel, and he's running and he's running, and he basically sees like a spot of light, and he runs and he finds a different exit, which is like quite low to the ground. There's a few vines he can use to climb up and get out, but he knows like this is the way to get out. We can get out this way, it's not far off the ground, we can climb out, it's not a problem. So he turns around and starts to go back for Lumpy, but as he gets towards where Lumpy is, 7 giant, like, I don't know what type of spiders, but 7 giant spiders, like, appear in all the corridors, so they can't get anywhere near him, and they spot him. So he starts belting back towards the exit, and he gets to the exit, climbs out, runs away, and leaves Lumpy in the Spider Kingdom for good. The end. No, I'm kidding, he doesn't leave Lumpy in the Spider Kingdom. He does exit, he does climb out of the kingdom, and runs for a while, and he in the chapter there ends saying, I've left Lumpy in the Spider Kingdom for good. And I was like, whoa, like, what the hell? Like, this would be a really great way to end it, like a really dark turn where he just left Lumpy the bully to die in the kingdom. But he didn't. He does run and exit and leave, but he gets to a point where he's like, look, I can't leave him down there, but I've got no choice. And he hides in the trees in case the spiders come out of the kingdom to look for him, but none really do. And he makes his way towards the treehouse, or what was the treehouse, and he grabs like a flashlight and some rope, because he has a plan to go and get Lumpy back and basically like pull him out of the hole. And being the brave little boy that he is, he runs and he dives back into the Spider Kingdom, and he's like belting through these tunnels. He's not even stopping to like take care, he's like sprinting through trying to get to Lumpy. And he follows the gum wrappers and he finds where Lumpy was hidden, drags him out of the hole. He's like, look, we've got to go now. So he's like running along the corridor, and he's like doesn't give a shit that Lumpy's in pain. He's dragging him towards the exit, climbs out the exit, makes Lumpy tie the rope around him, and begins to lift him up. But in another Lumpy's fat twist, he can't actually lift him out of the tunnel because he's so heavy. So while Lumpy's got like a rope tied around him, and Lumpy could probably try and help, like he could probably like pull himself up on the vines, but he's a fat lazy bastard. Freddy's trying to basically pull Lumpy out of this tunnel on his own, and Freddy's like a scoring little kid, so he can't do it. He's like, look, I can't physically pull you out, you're too heavy. But Lumpy's like, hurry up, the spider's coming, and you can see like all these spiders coming down the corridor at him. So Freddy's like, look, I'm gonna go and get help, which he should have done in the first place, but he does it now. He's like, look, I'm gonna run and get some help for you. So he turns around, bolts off into the forest, and bumps into Tommy Malloy. And this is proof that Tommy's a really nice kid. He basically says, look, I really need your help, Lumpy's trapped, please will you come help us? And Tommy just goes, yeah, I'll come help. He doesn't even question it. The fact that his bullies are asking him to help, he doesn't even question it. He just goes, follows Freddy into the woods, dives towards the Spider Kingdom hole, and sees Lumpy trapped at the bottom, and helps Tommy pull him up helps Freddy pull him up out of the hole without even questioning it. But as they get out there, like they all running out of the forest, and they all part ways and go home. So yeah, they dive out of the Spider Kingdom, belt through the forest, and just part ways and go home. Tommy never really asks what was going on, which I find a little bit strange, but he just helps him, and they all disappear, and they all part ways without even talking, and just all go home to the safety of their own homes. Freddy gets home, his parents aren't there, for some reason, but he gets home and he dives onto the couch, puts the TV on, and falls asleep, trying to forget the nightmare that's just happened. And he wakes up to a documentary about spiders. And this is where they kind of end, not twist, because the Shivers don't really have twists, but at the end kind of twist comes. He wakes up after escaping the Spider Kingdom on the couch with a documentary about spiders, and he says about how the Spider Kingdom is changing for good. He doesn't kill spiders anymore. He realises the importance of them. He's not even 100% sure if it actually happened or not. Like Lumpy never mentions it, but he doesn't hang around with Lumpy anymore. He makes a lot of new friends and puts a distance between him and Lumpy because he knows that Lumpy's a bully and will like throw him under the bus. He doesn't hang around with Tommy, even though Tommy helped. But they never talk about the Spider Kingdom. His parents obviously deny the existence of the Spider Kingdom because that's what parents do. Parents don't believe anything. Pardon me. Other than one book coming up that I'm going to read soon, do a review for soon, the parents play a good part in the book, which was really a refreshing twist. So please listen to my review of Fright Night, because the parents in that, or the dad in that, was a really nice, refreshing take on the dad. But anyway, yeah, so basically, we don't know if it actually happened or not. Whether he fell asleep to documentaries about spiders, and it was all a dream, we don't really know. But the whole thing has kind of changed Freddy for the better. He's no longer a bully. He focuses more on schoolwork, hangs out with nicer people. And he says, "Oh, I'm still a kid, but I've had enough trouble for the rest of my life." And that's how the book ends. Yeah. The only open plot point I can really talk about is, did it happen or not? It never really fully explains it. It kind of says that Lumpy doesn't talk about it. He doesn't speak to Tommy. It never really. I don't think it says he goes back to check the hole or not. But he says, "I'm not really sure if it happened, if it was real or not, or if it was just like a dream." And that's the kind of thing that I don't really like. Like, I don't like the whole "it's a dream." Like, if you listen to my review of Creature from Club Laguna, the fact that most of the second half of the book was a virtual reality game, I didn't really like. So it's kind of hard to disassociate the book with the fact that the end twist was it might not have happened, because that's such a generic cop-out twist. Like, I'd rather it be batshit crazy and not follow any rules of logic, but it happened, and maybe the Spider Kingdom kind of shut its entrance in case the kids got out and told people about it and maybe threatened their life. I don't know. But it never really explains whether it happened or not, which I didn't really like. It was just I'm hoping that doesn't really happen on a lot of books, because it's just a boring cliffhanger. You know what I'm talking about, guys. It's very Wizard of Oz. Very, what else has it happened in? I can't remember. I can't even remember any Goosebumps books that I did it in. But just the whole "it was a dream," I didn't really like. I get the fact they tried to do a whole "it might have happened, but it might not have happened." I'm not going to say either way. But it did change me for the better. I get that, and I appreciate that. But it was still a bit of a meh ending. On to my favourite and least favourite cliffhanger. Least favourite was pretty easy. The very beginning chapter, I think it was chapter 1. Yeah, when Freddy and Lumpy are in the treehouse, there's a bit where Lumpy captures a spider and throws it at Freddy, and he's like, "Oh, the spider's inside my clothes. I'm waiting to be bitten to death, and this is how I die," kind of thing. That was a bit meh, a bit boring. The best cliffhanger was, I mentioned it previously, was at the end of chapter 17, where he basically escapes the Spider Kingdom and says that he's leaving Lumpy in there for good. I thought that was a nice, dark, what I always say, the cuckoo clock of doom twist, which I mentioned before, is where the brother basically wipes his sister out of existence for good and leaves it that way. Yeah, I love the fact that this was right near the end of the book. Like, I had 2 chapters left, and he left his friend in the Spider Kingdom to die. I thought that was a really good twist. It was harsh, but it was good. Like, because the one that I read before this was A Ghostly Playmate, I think. Yeah, A Ghostly Playmate. That had a lot of really dark storylines and plots about like domestic abuse and dead babies and stuff. I thought maybe MD Spencer has like some really good dark stuff that happens. So when he said like he left his friend in the kingdom to die, I was like, you go, MD Spencer. Like, I'm loving this. He doesn't, obviously. He goes back to help him because he's a good person. But I loved that cliffhanger. I was like, wow, the book's nearly over and he's just left his friend in there. Like, what's he going to do? I mean, he does find the time to go and save him. But I was like, bring it on, like, Freddy. You like, be the bigger man. You leave him in the Spider Kingdom. So, yeah. Onto the cover. I love the cover. I do. Orange is my favourite colour, which probably influences my opinion of it, even though I shouldn't be influenced by the colour of the cover. But I like the orangeness. I like the image of the giant spider trapping the young person, because it's very, very much what happens in the book. It's a scene from the book. They are on a spider web, even though it's a spider web where they like stood up, I think, but backed into it. There are giant spiders, and the people are tiny in comparison. So I really appreciated that. I really like that. I like the image, and I really like it because it always used to scare me as a kid. Like, when you're a kid, like, you always like look at the covers. Like, everyone says like Goosebumps books, a lot of them started reading it because of the covers. I didn't, but I'll tell you my story in another video. So this cover always just stuck in my mind. I never liked to look at it. It was always one when I looked at my Shivers books that I kind of didn't really want to look at. I kind of kept it hidden away because it's spiders. No. Yeah. So I really like the cover. The book itself, I liked it. The pacing was a little off. I felt they spent a lot more time at the beginning emphasising the fact that these guys were bullies and just nasty people than it did emphasising the fact that they were spider killers. Like, it mentioned, obviously, they killed spiders in the past, and then Freddy massacres the guys on the porch. But I would have spent a lot more time talking about the spiders and how they killed them, because he went very quickly. Let me have a quick look. Let's have a look. Midway through chapter 4, I think it is. Tried everything inside, he sprays the thing, goes into the TV. Yeah, midway through chapter 4 is where the giant tarantula appears. And there's only, like, 19 chapters in the book. But, like, this is in the first few chapters the giant tarantula appears. So it very quickly goes from these guys are bastards and they're bullies and they kill spiders to this giant tarantula appearing. So the pacing was a little weird. I would have spent a bit more time emphasising that they're bullies and that they kill spiders, and just a bit more about the different ways they kill spiders. Like, in the book Go Eat Worms of Goosebumps, if you know what I'm talking about, the boy spends a lot of time killing worms and like taking them apart and experimenting on them, I believe, in a really psychotic way. So, and don't get me wrong, the fact that Lumpy trapped spiders and pulls their legs off is really fucking twisted. But I just think could have spent a bit more time elaborating on that. So the fact that they got trapped by the Spider Kingdom would have been a bit more of an understandable consequence. But other than that, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of talking in the book. There's a lot of the spiders talking amongst themselves, threatening the boys talking amongst themselves when they're trapped on the spider web. A long time when they're in the trial. And it's good, it's really good. Like, it's nice to see them actually talking. Rather than just action, it's actually like, look, you're a bully. You are a bully. You do nasty things. You don't take any regard for the consequences. And that's the main thing about this book. It's a book with a very strong message. And the message is, A, spiders do good, so don't kill them. And B, bullying is wrong. But sometimes it kind of shoved that message down your throat. And it was a little bit too much. Like, even when Freddy was going, oh, you are a bully, but if you spent more time on your studies, you could be as intelligent as I am, kind of thing. I was like, kids don't really talk like that when they're 11. They don't really see that. Does that make sense? They can see the difference between bad and good and bullying and not bullying, but they don't really think in that kind of a way, I don't think. I could be wrong. So I like the fact they had a very strong message, because I was bullied, I get it. And the fact that I do hate spiders, so I appreciated what they were going for, what MD Spencer was trying to do. But I think sometimes the message was too rammed down your throat, like bullying is wrong. So the whole court case was really good, and the fact that they did actually get sentenced to execution was a good twist. I like the fact there was lots of different spiders that were described in detail, even though it scared me. And there were some spiders that were builder spiders, there were some spiders that were guards, some spiders that were executioners, which made sense because they were the big scary spiders. I like the fact that it was basically a prison book, but the prisoners substituted with spiders. Like when they're being dragged through, and what I would say, other prisoners would be taunting them. There's some really strong imagery with the boys on the web and the shadows of them being dragged through. I didn't like the ending, obviously, because there was no kind of... I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with it not being a twist ending, and the fact that the Spider Kingdom changed him. But I would have liked it to have been the fact that it definitely happened. So overall, the book was good. I liked it, but the pacing was a little off. The message was just a bit too rammed down your throat. But I did get creeped out by the book because it is about spiders and about these bullies, and I associated with the characters a bit. More so the spiders, Freya, than it was about the bullying, because I'm not a bully, but I associated with it because I have been bullied. So in terms of a rating, I think I'm going to give it like a C+, because it was okay. I liked it, but I didn't love it. It wasn't B, like I really liked it, but there was a couple of things to improve on to make it great. It was just okay. Like, that's not a bad thing. I knew when I started reading it was going to be about spiders, so I was going to not give it a high rating because I have such a bad arachnophobia that when it's describing spiders, I kind of skim it because I can't sit and read it in detail. I know it's pathetic, but I just can't. I can't do it. So yeah, if you want to read a Shivers book, or if you like spiders, I would recommend this one. It is a good one. It's not the scariest of books. It's more of a kind of a court case and a trial book than it is about monsters terrorising them, but it is quite spooky at points, a bit creepy, particularly for me because I don't like spiders. I would definitely recommend it. I'm giving it a C+. And the next book that I'll be reviewing on my channel will be Monster Blood for Breakfast. I will re-review it because obviously the last one failed. I will review that, and then I will get on to the viewer choice book, which I put a video up about before I went away, and I'll explain what that is when I get to it. I mentioned it briefly earlier on, so if you paid any attention to the review, you'll know which book I'm doing then. Or if you're on my Twitter, which is @NostalgicNightmares without the vowels, @NSTLGC, NGHTMRS, you'll know what book it is. But yeah, until next time, guys, take care of yourselves. Please, if you listen to any of these, please start reading Shivers, because I don't know anyone that does, and I have a couple of followers who speak to me on Twitter or on YouTube, like Goosebumps Guy and Lexi from Twitter, from Facebook, who like what I do, and I really appreciate that. I would advise that you try and read some Shivers, because it'd be good to kind of discuss it a bit more rather than just me talking about my own thing. It'd be good to get your opinion on it. I guess I'll get that a bit more when I start doing Goosebumps reviews.